we have everybody stop talking?
Yes, sir.
If everybody could stop talking, please, so we can get started. Thank you. This consumer session will come to order. Let the record reflect that this is a time and place set before the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada for consumer session in the application of the Nevada Power Company doing business as NV Energy for authority to increase its annual revenue requirement for general rates charged to all classes of electric customers and for relief properly related thereto. This matter has been designated as docket number 14-05004. The record will reflect the Commission has in its files affidavits of publication regarding the notice of this consumer session for this time and place. Is there anyone present that has any questions on the notice or wishes to examine the affidavits on file? Mr. President.
Can you please speak louder?
Can't hear you back here either.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Anyone present has any questions on the affidavits of this notice or wishes to examine them on file? Hearing none, the Commission deems this matter has been duly and properly noticed for a consumer session for this time and place. My name is Dave Noble. I am the Commissioner presiding officer for this proceeding. My role in this is to preside over the proceedings, conduct the hearing, and then following the conclusion of the hearings are scheduled for 3 weeks in August and September. I will be drafting a preliminary order covering all the contested issues in these proceedings, and I will be presenting that before the full commission for review, discussion, and a vote. An agenda before the deemed approved date. The deemed approved date is November 28th, and so we will probably be reviewing this before the full commission on an agenda schedule for November 20th. What I'd like to do now is have Jermaine Grubbs from the regulatory operations staff explain their role in this matter. Ms. Grubbs.
Thank you very much. So as Commissioner Noble said, my name is Jermaine Grubbs. I'm an assistant staff counsel with the regulatory operations staff of the commission. And I'd like to explain briefly staff's role in this docket. The regulatory operations staff is an independent investigative arm of the commission. We have engineers, economists, accountants, and attorneys like myself on staff that review filings and participate in proceedings, contested cases like this as a matter of right. In contested cases like this, staff conducts an independent evaluation of the case, and based on staff's independent evaluation, we then file testimony, making recommendations to the commission about potential disallowances or what to approve and disapprove in the filing. There's also a division of staff called the Consumer Complaint Resolution Division of the Commission. And you've probably encountered quite a few of them here tonight. They've been asking you to fill out the comment cards and answering any questions for you. The Consumer Division is a great resource for ratepayers like yourselves to act as an investigatory arm again of the commission, and if you have complaints that you're having difficulty resolving directly with utilities that are regulated by the commission, they can assist you in getting those issues addressed. Overall, staff looks to balance the utilities' interests with ratepayer interests to overall balance the public interest to ensure that you have safe, reliable service at a reasonable cost. So that's staff's role in the proceedings. And just briefly, I would like to explain where we are in the process. Staff has been conducting its evaluation of the case, been propounding what are called data requests, a lot of discovery in this case, and we will be submitting our first batch, at least, of testimony in the next couple of weeks in the first phase of this docket. And we are here tonight to hear from you, to see if there are any unique issues that we can incorporate into our investigation or address in our testimony. So we appreciate all of you attending here tonight, and we look forward to your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grubbs. Now I'd like to have Mr. Paul Stuff from the Attorney General's Bureau of Consumer Protection explain their role in this process.
Thank you, Commissioner Noble, and good evening. As Commissioner Noble indicated, my name is Paul Stuff. I'm the Attorney General's Bureau of Consumer Protection. In this rate case, as in all rate cases that are filed with the Commission, the Attorney General's Bureau of Consumer Protection represents the interest of the ratepayer, and we're here today to hear from you, the ratepayer, about your concerns with this filing. When we got this filing, we noticed that there are 4 principal issues here that may dominate the proceeding and which cause some concern for the Bureau of Consumer Protection. The return on equity sought in this case is 10%. We think that's too high given the rate of return nationwide on various types of investments. We think that because the company is now owned by Berkshire Hathaway, that should come down considerably because the company has access to cheaper capital. Of particular concern is the residential basic service charge. The company is seeking a $15.25 fixed monthly charge in this filing. And right now, customers pay 10%. That's over a 50% increase. We think that is really in excess, and it discourages conservation by customers who can conserve. And it also affects low-income customers more than upper-income customers. So we think that this increase should be rejected. As far as coal plant recovery, Reed Gardner units 1, 2, and 3 will be shut down by the end of this year, and Reed Gardner unit 4 will be shut down by the end of 2017 in accordance with Senate Bill 123, which was passed last session. We think that the premature holding of those units into rate base and the premature depreciation of those units may cause rates to increase beyond what was noticed. So that's an issue that we flagged. Also, prepayment for electrical service. The companies offered a prepayment option. And while we believe in more options for consumers, definitely we believe that this option may impact low-income customers more than other customers. So we're particularly concerned about the way that this may be implemented, and we're also concerned about the existing Consumer Bill of Rights and whether this bill could even be implemented without first engaging in a rulemaking which would address the consumer
Now,
bill.
this is being videotaped
So
for those who can't.
The Bureau of Consumer Protection's principal concerns tonight, and Commissioner, we thank you for this opportunity to speak. Thank you very much.
All right, now I'd like Tony Sanchez from NV Energy to briefly explain the contents of the application. Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Commissioner Noble. Good evening to everybody, to our customers. We appreciate the opportunity to be with you here today. My name is Tony Sanchez. As Commissioner Noble indicated, I'm the Senior Vice President of Government and Community Strategy for NV Energy. We have several other company employees here this evening to answer any questions that you might have, whether at the conclusion of this consumer session, anything you might have related to your billing, or literally any questions you have. We'll be here as long as you need to answer those questions here this evening. We're here tonight to listen to our customers. We appreciate this opportunity to make a brief presentation of what's in the general rate case that we filed. On May 2nd of this year, we filed our triennial general rate case, which is something that we're required by law to do once every 3 years, at least once every 3 years. So the last time we filed was in 2011. We filed it with the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada, and we're very pleased to say this is the smallest general rate case that we have filed in well over a decade. We will be updating the filing this Friday pursuant to normal course, which could result in a different revenue request, but we anticipate that the updated filing will remain the smallest general rate increase we have requested, again, in well over a decade. The general rate that we're requesting covers all costs of doing business except for fuel and purchase power costs. That was the case, the fuel and purchase power costs, that was a case recently concluded, and a rate reduction went into effect on July 1. That's something that you, our customers, are currently benefiting from. What the rate covers, it includes labor, operations, and maintenance costs. investments in the power plants that we have to serve you as our customers, transmission and distribution facilities, taxes, depreciation, interest that we need to pay on the borrowed funds that we borrow, and a return on our investment. Specifically, this filing seeks to recover certain costs associated with investments that NV Energy has been making over the past couple of years that improve operational efficiency, benefiting you, the customer, in both the short term as well as the long run. These investments include the One Nevada transmission line, the line that we recently completed, that became energized on New Year's Eve 2013. That's a 230-mile line that goes from Ely, Nevada to Las Vegas. That is the first time in the company's history, in the state's history, that our entire state has been electrically interconnected. Why is that important? Because it allows the sharing of generation resources. If we have excess resources in the north, those can be shared here in the south immediately. If we have excess here in the south that are needed in the north, vice versa. It also allows us to, here in the south, access the abundant geothermal resources we have in the north, and vice versa. It allows northern Nevada to capitalize on the vast solar renewable energy resources that we have here in the south. So that has been a terrific investment from our perspective, and we're proud to say that that is already realizing financial benefits for our customers. The second area that's going to be heard before the commission is with respect to our NV Energized program. That is our smart meter program. That's producing more than $25 million in annual savings to our customers. The program allows us to provide our customers with an enhanced customer experience through the online tools that can be found at nvenergy.com. And it can help you to be more energy efficient and save money on your bills. We also are proud that at the time that we were considering this NV Energized program, the Department of Energy, the Federal Department of Energy, had a grant program. We applied and received a $139 million grant, practically half the cost of the entire program. We received one of the largest awards in the country per capita, and that was sort of very pleased that that was able to pay for nearly half the project. So the other half is what's going to be an issue before this in this general rate case. The revenue that we're seeking allows us to serve our customers and support safe, reliable electric grids and generating plant operations. If approved, the rate changes would go into effect on January 1st, 2015. We appreciate, again, you being here this evening, and we look forward to hearing your concerns and addressing those as best we can. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, at this point, I'd like to take comments and questions from the public. And this serves a dual purpose. One, gives you an opportunity to express your opinions and ask questions, have them answered with regards to this application. It also is going to be recorded and transcribed, and so it allows the other commissioners to review that transcript and see what, if any, issues they think need to also be addressed during the hearings. On occasion, something will come up during the consumer sessions that I feel is necessary for parties to address in testimony, and I will actually issue a procedural order directing the parties to provide that information. And if you would like to ask questions or offer comments, please make sure that you fill out a card. I have 33 so far. I believe representatives from our consumer division are in the entry area. If they have those cards, so if you could talk to them, they will make sure that one is filled out. And when you come up to the table, please state and spell your name for the record, and speak into the microphone. That will ensure that it is properly recorded. And due to the number of people who want to speak, we will have you will have 5 minutes to speak, and we'll only be given the opportunity to speak once. So let's go ahead and start with the first speaker, Mr. Barry Gold with the AARP. Mr. Gold.
Thank you, and good evening, Mr. Commissioner. My name is Barry Gold, B-A-R-R-Y, G-O-L-D, and I'm the Director of Government Relations for AARP Nevada. AARP is fighting for consumers to help save money on their utility bills. NV Energy is proposing to increase the basic service charge by more than 50%. This means you will have to pay more than $15 before you even turn on a light. This increase will disproportionately affect seniors, low-income, and low-usage customers. If the PUC approves this increase, then NV Energy will have the second highest basic service charge in the West, according to one source. We urge the PUC to say no to this 50% increase. We have all heard that NV Energy is asking for an approximately $20 million increase that will result in a 1.8% rate increase, the lowest in over a decade. What many people have not heard is that the PUC wants to include what is called acceleration of cost recovery for closing coal plants. If this occurs, the total rate increase could be as high as $80 million. That is 4 times as much as what NV Energy has asked for, which could result in a rate increase as high as 7.2%. Our question is, why should ratepayers have to pay up to 4 times as much as NV Energy has asked for? Why should the PUC give potentially $60 million in additional money to NV Energy, which they have not even requested? An extremely problematic component of the rate case would allow for a prepayment option for electricity. Since you don't have to pay a deposit for this, this could be a popular option with low-income customers. However, the way the program works, when your prepaid balance hits 0, your electricity would be shut off and you would lose many of the protections under the Consumer Bill of Rights. Another problem is if you sign up for this, you cannot be part of the equal payment program if you sign up for prepaid. Prepaid customers would pay in advance for huge electricity costs in the summer and have to keep track of their balance. Someone on a fixed income may not be able to keep up during the hot summer months. I do not want to have to worry if I have $50 in my electricity tank, or $5, or 50 cents. I don't want to come home and find out that my electricity has been shut off because my bank has run out. NV Energy says they will text or email you when your balance is getting low, but people may not check their devices as often as possible. These could be emails or texts to nowhere. Some experts call this prepay service second-class utility service. You have to pay in advance, and there is even a small additional charge. If people use credit cards, they will end up with extra fees and interest as well. What this really does is it gives NV Energy your money in advance and lets them shut you off more quickly with less notice. This is a bad idea and should be rejected by the PUC. NV Energy is also asking for a return on equity or profit of 10%. While the rest of us are struggling, why should they enjoy such a large profit? If the authorized return on equity was lowered to a reasonable level, the $20 million rate increase could be lowered or perhaps even eliminated. On behalf of the more than 300,000 AARP members across the state, we strongly urge the PUC to reject the 50% increase of the basic service charge, to not include accelerated recovery costs for coal plants, to say no to any prepay options, and to allow for only a reasonable return on equity. Thank you.
Mary Combs.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. And, my name is Mary Combs, M-A-R-Y-K-O-H-N-S. I'm a retiree who moved here over 20 years ago in Southern California, and I live in zip code 89134 in Las Vegas. I was very interested to hear what you had to say, Mr. Sanchez, because most of what I want to talk about was the business practices, the operations of Nevada Power. I remember a time when there was something called the cost of doing business, whether you were mom and pop, or whether you were a mid-sized business or an IBM or a General Electric. And in return for doing business, providing the service, in this case our power, you get a huge write-off from the government when you file your taxes. It's called the cost of doing business, and you write that off. What I found in the short time, well, 20 years I've lived here, I have a lot more time than I used to have on my hands. And what I've done is, I have all my bills going back for the last 5 years. And just as something to do occasionally, I like to keep track of where my money's going. I'm only one person, I'm a consumer, and I'm living on a fixed income. And what I see is, just looking at my current bill, I am paying $30 in charges to you. They have nothing to do with the use of kilowatt hours. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm sick and tired of it because I've also checked out your annual reports to the library. And I don't read the entire thing cover to cover, but I do know how to read an annual report. And I just look at your summary pages. You're making a tremendous profit for your investors, and you should, because you are not a nonprofit organization, but you are making it on the backs of the consumers who live here. Berkshire Hathaway has bought you. Anyone who knows about Warren Buffett knows that he is not going to invest at this stage of his career in anything that is not ultimately going to generate a cash cow for Berkshire Hathaway. And that's one reason why. I mean, they didn't just buy us. And right now, I'm looking at this 50% in one of these things that I'm paying $30 a month for. They have nothing to do with kilowatt hours. Very quickly, my deferred energy adjustment, that is probably a rate increase from before, and you couldn't get it all. So the PUC was kind enough to allow you to put it on our bills for 10 years or 5 years, or whatever the case may be. Of course, there is that $10, let's see, what are we, basic service charge, and you want a 50% increase in that. Everything goes up. I'm on a fixed income. I've been paying my taxes in this city and using your services for over 20 years. And I am the person that you wrote in this article in today's paper about who uses the 1,200 kilowatt hours and used to pay $67. My current bill is $156. I'm one person in one house. And I have no children or grandchildren. I have a cat, and I guarantee you she doesn't use 1/1000% of a kilowatt hour per month. So what I'm saying to you is, because I know my time is running out, I think your current rate increase of $20 million, I'm going to round that up, $21 million. I heard someone here say earlier when I first came that you have an 800,000 customer base here. And I would like you to just think for a moment. In my case, my increase would be $1.80 a month. We know all those people in that 800,000 base are not one single-family residence like I am. But let's just say that 100,000 of them are. And you take that $1.82 a month and multiply it by 100,000 homes, and look at the profit you're getting. What I would like to know is, first of all, I'm tired of paying for your cost of doing business. There's always, you have provided a service. Our population has grown, and the need for power has grown. You have bought from other locations, because I've been following this for 20 years now. And we turn around and you give us a raise increase, and we pay for that. To ensure that in the future, for instance, one of your lines was we don't have brownouts like California. And the other thing is, you're telling us about this, the reason you want this $21 million. That's right, you're gonna write that off on your taxes. It's the cost of doing business. You can't get away from that. Everyone who has a license to do any amount of business has a cost of doing business that they can write off. You've got lawyers who are not accountants, they're tax attorneys. And if there's a loophole that they haven't found, I'd be willing to pay money to see that. So I think that we are getting a very bad deal. I think the PUC has done what it can, but this 3% raise doesn't make me feel good, because I'm still paying for the 8% from the last time. So I'm looking at this at 11% more. And I, as a consumer, and who probably are a little more lucky than some of the other people on the lower end of the poverty scale, but I'm here to tell you, I have to cut corners. I've worked hard since I was 14 years old and saved my money and invested it so I could enjoy these years. And I have found in the 20 years of living here, and I love living here, you have bitten and your rates have caused me so much of my basic monthly income, and I did prepare for that.
Ms. Combs?
Yes,
Keep it
my
wrapped.
time is up,
Yes.
and thank you very much for your time. And that's really
Linda Buckhart.
My name is Linda Buckard, B-U-C-K-A-R-D-T. Thank you so much for allowing me to come before you to speak tonight. And I'd like this to go on record. I oppose the outrageous need to increase our power rates. Use more electricity to qualify for a discount is not a common sense, and the incentives that benefit only a small number of ratepayers. A proposal to prepaid power is completely unacceptable. It is discrimination against those who can't afford to prepay. If a person gets sick or a baby is born and needs additional electricity per month, you can't prepay that. I have paid about $59 up front for my analog meter. Donate an extra $8.88 a month to the owner to have the vehicle drive by my house once a month to have a reading. Has to have others. It is a donation of $105.60 a year. I'm already paying more than my fair share for electricity. There have been accounts that more money is needed to put solar panels on the homes, those on public assistance. Would that include homes that are foreclosures, condemned homes, tear downs? The elderly may not be able to afford the cost of solar panels added to their mortgages because we don't know if we'll be in our homes for 60 years to recoup that. Now, would the seller have to deduct the cost of unpaid solar panels from the selling price, or would the owner be required to pay up front before being allowed to put up the house for sale? I have purchased green energy appliances. To do my part for saving the world, the dishwasher takes 75 minutes to go through a cycle, cycling on and off, and doesn't clean the dishes without my scraping them totally clean beforehand. In the Midwest, we were taught that every time an appliance turns on, there's a power surge. My green clothes dryer at factory set so that my clothes won't get dry in 38 minutes, or else and select a setting that shrinks them and ruins them. I bought a green washer, and the water level is not high enough to wet the clothes, so they weren't getting clean either. And the efficiency settings are set under extreme factory controls, which cannot be duplicated in a home. While the rich never get punished or penalized for heating their pools, having the finest electric gadgets on all the time. I do diligently more than my fair share, putting my thermostat at a warm 78 degrees summers and 68 degrees winters, wearing 3 layers of clothing to keep warm, and turn off all unnecessary appliances when not in use. Empty energy makes those who pay feel so darn guilty for even using electricity. And the hardship is on the middle class and the needy and those on fixed incomes. My Social Security benefit has gone up less than $5 in 3 years. My health care supplement has increased over $100 this year, and the pension rate has been frozen. I recently attended an international panel on climate change at the conference at the Mandalay Bay. Renowned scientists from around the world spoke to the fallacy if there's going to die, the people would experience more kidney stones in Atlanta, Chicago, and Philadelphia, but not in Los Angeles. There would be fewer redheads. The wicked polar vortex would spook us. It is called Alberta Clipper in the Midwest. Not naturally occurring. Clear, colorless carbon dioxide we exhale is a culprit. CO2 plus H2O equals life. Australia has recently halted their breed-in energy carbon tax as it was bankrupting their country and killing jobs. Nevada doesn't need a carbon tax in the form of a rate increase. Please, no higher rates for the needy and middle class who pay more than a fair share. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight.
Susan Peppers.
Good evening. My name is Susan Peppers, S-U-S-A-N, P-E-P-P-E-R-S, P-E-P-P-E-R-S, opposite of stop, only with an S, Peppers. My thing here tonight is, I've lived in the house that I'm living in now for 30 years. It's a single dwelling. It was 4 people in this house. Now, my husband is dead, my 2 boys are grown and moved out. I'm a single person living in one house, and I'm paying a utility bill as equal up to somebody's salary or a car payment, which makes no sense. And you talk about the smart meter, You put the smart meter in my house. I didn't ask for it. I've had nothing but trouble ever since I had it. When the meter goes off or the power goes off for whatever reason due to heat or whatever the thing may be, my washing machine comes on all by itself every time and nobody knows why. And I think this increase is really ridiculous. I live in a smart energy home. I've changed all my appliances out to smart energy appliances. I don't use my dishwasher. There's one light that burns in my house 24/7. That's the only one that I use. I can walk in my house, through my house in the dark, by myself and find everything I need to find. But for me to pay a power bill for $355 for one person that's living in this house is ridiculous. Thank you.
Dean Downey.
Good evening. My name is Deanne Downing, D-E-A-N-E, W, and D-O-W-N-I-N-G. W is obviously silent in the middle. I'm a resident of Nevada, and the Nevada Power is requesting $20,845,000. Really? The quarterly report dated March 31 of 2014 on Form 10-Q, Item 2, page 13, shows the net income for the first quarter was $6 million, with an increase of $1 million in revenue, or 20% as compared to 2013. Imagine that. And the Nevada Energy cannot budget on a 20% profit? This is only the first quarter of this year. What am I missing? The state of Nevada is one of the poorest states in the Union and is still recovering from the debacle of 2008, the worst recession since the 30s. Property values are still down, and we are conservatively looking at another 8 years for recovery. People are still upside down with their mortgages, and income is currently at the 2000 level and not rising. Unemployment rate is currently 7.8%, and that is on a conservative side. I have counted up to 8 additional fees on my Nevada energy bill. And oh, I see that we have new rates for August of 2014. Where is that money going? The consumer is being strangled. The future, we will be spending more money for energy consumption than a mortgage payment. Not an encouraging sign for young people coming into the workforce, and mark my words, they will move to friendlier states with less regulations. One would have to be an idiot not to see this happen. Information on the energy implementation rate, which was tucked into the purchase deal of Nevada Power and Sierra Pacific by Warren Buffett, shows the conditions he and his company set forth, hence rate increases. No wonder he has just written a book called How to Get By on $500 billion. I want to see some backbone here from the PUC. Squash the increases. The time isn't right. Nevadans have had enough. We want to see some action. The PUC has a responsibility to the ratepayer and not to Nevada Power. Thank you.
Richard Killian, R-I-C-H-A-R-D, K-I-L-L-I-A-N. I speak to the PUC, and I want to start off by saying, follow the money. That's what it begins with. Is the PUC engaging in corporate welfare, I would say. A few years back, they asked for and received an increase in their guaranteed return on investment. They, at the same time, during the same time period, I believe it was 2012, could have been 2013, they received, their stock value went up 14%, and they received an award for being a green company, a multi-million-dollar award for that one. And Berkshire Hathaway in Oregon has been involved in rate increases there also. So I think we should watch what's happening to Oregon. It is our future. Thank you.
Frederick Wilkeny.
Thank you. Frederick Wilkening, Wilkening, 1582 Toledo, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89023. In the paper today, I was reading where Assembly Speaker Bill Patrick stated that it was important to watch rate increases. And to be honest with you, I think it's important for the PUC to watch any and all increases in Nevada Power's listings. I have my bill, like the lady that previously spoke, my wife and I, we have CAP. And our bill is $428.84, and it's just the two of us. We have no child. And I honestly think that's absolutely ridiculous. So, to be honest with you, I don't know which fees are regulated by the PUC and which fees aren't. But I know that Warren Buffett paid 20%, a 20% premium on basically a utility, though the energy was never really a utility as opposed to a private company. And it makes me ask the question, why does the state of Nevada continue to have a state-sponsored monopoly? It's just as irritating to me as I can possibly think. My wife and I have friends that moved to Texas. Within 72 hours of purchasing their home, signing their paperwork, they had 3 different power companies come to or contact them and offer to be their power supplier. They pay less there than we pay here. And I don't think it's fair. I think we need to open up the market and have really an open market in the state of Nevada. I see people from solar companies here tonight. I applaud them. I think solar in this particular part of the United States is something that we should be encouraging. And my understanding is that there is, they've got kind of like the brakes on solar power here because of Nevada Power wanting to have a certain limit that they can produce. And the truth of the matter is that whether we go to solar or we buy new bulbs for our lights, we try to conserve. I mean, it only makes sense as consumers, we try to conserve. And if we don't use enough power, they come to you guys and ask for a rate increase because they've got to make their money. They've got stockholders to please. They got board of directors that they need to pay for their 4 meetings a year where they just nod their heads to staff recommendations. And it's just, I would appreciate if you would just deny them and put them on the right path.
Karen Smith.
Karen Smith, K-A-R-E-N-S-M-I-T-H. Angel and I started NV Energy's Top Smart Meters. I've heard and read all the promises regarding the benefits of smart meters and did not buy them and elected to opt out. Now NV Energy is asking for a more than 50% increase that has us paying for these meters and other outrageous charges. How can the promise of our bills being lower explain the $5.25 increase? When we wanted to opt out, we were originally given a trial period. Why haven't the smart meters been given a trial of at least 1 to 2 years since they're almost all installed? Now that the small trial done years ago proved that they actually do not do what you guys told everybody they would, so far this increase is not the benefit of these meters. In a May 18, 2010 RJ article, the Acura said the consumers benefit from energy conservation efforts, both as individual ratepayers because their power bills drop, and as a general group because of peak demand reduction. What he did not say was that because of the PUC approved return on investment, we were forced to make up this conservation related savings. The ratepayer never benefits. Interest rates continue to be at record low levels. Moreover, when NV Energy was acquired by Mid-America, NVE said that low-cost access to capital should be one of these benefits of the acquisition. So a 10% return on investment should not be approved. All of your PUC-approved rebates are not in the public interest. They are skewed for certain ratepayers, and all of the ratepayers are forced to subsidize these rebates. Yet, for those who opted out, we did not consider it in the public interest to pay the same for the same public benefit. My recent power bill was over $800. There are 2 adults and 1 child. Your job is to regulate and reach a fair compromise. None of your actions are ever fair, just, or beneficial to all ratepayers. If everyone can't financially benefit, then no one gets privileges from said benefit rebates or programs. Thank you.
Mary Pardonek.
Hello, my name is Mary Pardonek, M-A-R-Y-P-A-R-D-I-N-E-K. I was asked by my neighbors to please attend because I had time to do so, and I've noticed 3 issues. I've lived in Las Vegas for about 20 years now, and when I first moved here, I was so impressed with how low our utility rates were. I'm from outside Chicago, and they had some of the worst rates in the country. I talked to my girlfriend just this week, and although Chicagoland area is very cold for summer, her air conditioner hasn't been on. Her power bill was $84. This is unheard of. I was very shocked. What I've noticed is since I've been here, I can't say how impressed I am with my utility bills anymore. They're getting ridiculous, just like everyone else. The other thing that I want to say is when Warren Buffett bought Nevada Energy, I believe he should have done some due diligence. If there was some kind of rate increases that were required at that time, that should have been known. And maybe it was known. Maybe this was all part of the game plan for him to make more money. I don't think it's right. I think anybody else who goes out and buys a business knows when they do their analysis of what that company's all about, what kind of money's needed to keep them profitable, make them profitable, help them grow. Not to the point where you factor in, let's go take advantage of people. I've heard some ridiculous utility rates coming from people. This lady pays over $800, that's unconscionable. My girlfriend in Northwest Indiana just paid $84, and they have a very antiquated system out there, much more so than Nevada. Please, quit, use your own choice of word, okay? Please, it's not right. And the general public, I think, is really getting sick tired of big business coming in and taking advantage and buying out people for them to get what they want. It's time to stop, okay? Let's make America a good place for people to live, and that means making people be able to afford their bills. So I think Warren Buffett should have known this when he bought the company, that basically this is what you have to work with, and don't go out and try to use your own choice of words, the people to make more money. Thank you.
Sophia Medina.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner. My name is Sophia Medina, Sophia Medina, and I'm an attorney in the Consumer Rights Project at Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada. As a preliminary matter, these comments and concerns are directed towards the FlexPay program and are based upon the information we currently have, which we believe will be supplemented later on. First and foremost, electricity in Nevada is a vital necessity. We feel that this program threatens to deprive certain citizens of that necessity. Second, we believe that the proper forum for this discussion should be a regulatory proceeding rather than as a contested rate change, since this proposal attempts to deviate from at least 14 different protections that are included in the Consumer Bill of Rights. While claiming not to target low-income citizens, it seems the main incentive for this program is a lack of an upfront deposit. However, this incentive, when compared to the service fee, possible multiple payment fees, and loss of consumer protection, may not be worth the risk. The other claimed benefit is lower electricity usage. However, this can be attributed to deprivation rather than conservation. This program requires people to guesstimate their electricity usage, which in this, especially in this case, is basically like predicting the weather. People must choose between washing a load of laundry or running the air conditioner. We don't feel that this is a choice that consumers should have to make. The other concerns include the lack of information regarding this program and its effect on or how it will work with those who are requiring energy assistance. The inability for some to be on equal pay if enrolled in the prepaid program. So instead of spreading the summer usage over the entire year, it requires consumers to pay the entire amount up front for the summer month. The definition of favorable payment record to be able to get on a normal payment plan without having to pay a deposit. If my balance goes to zero for an hour when I'm at work or in court and I don't get the text message and I go home and my refrigerator's off and my electricity is off and I now no longer have a favorable payment history and I cannot get on a normal program without paying a deposit anymore. We're also concerned that this program may start out as voluntary and later on become mandatory for those who do not qualify credit-wise or who do not have, again, a favorable payment record. Plus, this doesn't take into consideration hidden costs of electricity being shut off. These include anything from food spoilage for people who have their electricity remotely shut off to putting the health of pets and family at risk. And finally, the ability for electricity to be immediately shut off remotely is a cause for major concern. Again, it just basically circumvents all of the consumer protection, or most of the consumer protections that are already in place. So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Ms. Medina, your agency is not a intervener in this case, correct?
No, we're not.
I don't recall you filing comments today.
We did not file written comments. We decided that we were to file the written comments later on if necessary.
Yes, I would strongly suggest the 14 provisions that you indicated that you thought that the flex plan violated. If you'd include those in your comments, if you file those comments sooner rather than later, that would be appreciated.
I will, yeah.
Thank you. Denisha Considine.
Commissioner, my name is Venetia Considine, Venecia. Considine is Consibine. I am also an attorney in the Consumer Rights Department at the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada, and I am here to speak on the flex pay or the prepaid program as well. I am concerned that this targets low-income people, with no credit, and victims of the recession that we are still in.
it seems to me that one of our concerns is the incentive here is the no security deposit. However, in reading the Flex Pay program, if you owe money from a previous bill that has been shut off and you have not paid that bill, prior to getting into this Flex Pay program, you still must pay 75% of what you owe. And then in order to start your prepayment program, you have to put enough of the deposit down that covers 50% of your prepayments every month that you're on the prepayment plan. So looking at the benefit of the no security deposit is simply a security deposit. It does not do anything about previous balances. On the other hand, what we're concerned with are the losses. There is the loss of having uninterrupted electricity for 30 days, which is what happens when you get your bill. You get your bill every 30 days. Under this program, you've lost that. You've lost the grace period between the statement date and the due date when you have to make your payment. You've lost the ability to receive a paper statement. You've lost the ability to enter into a repayment plan. You've lost the ability to enter into the equal pay program, which, as was spoken about earlier, takes your summer month bills and parses them out throughout the entire year so you don't have a sticker shock in July and August. You're also being charged $1.24 a month additionally just to be in this program. There is no benefit that I've seen so far that you as a prepayment or flex pay person pay less for your electricity. You pay the same amount as somebody who's not in this program. You pay an additional $1.24 every month for the benefit of all of those losses. If you are shut off, you cannot get into another program without making a deposit. So you're in the same boat. You can be in this flex program if you get off the program even voluntarily. If you don't have ideal credit, then you'll have to go back to making a deposit. So you're right back where you were. You've also lost the paper explanations of the rate schedules, the quarterly adjustments, showing on a bill what your rate, what you're paying every single month. Also, you're losing the protection of one of the regulations, which states that NV Energy cannot shut off your energy if you owe less than $100. Under the Flex Pay program, when you get down to zero in your bank or your program itself, they can shut it off, although they will send you text messages before they do that. And again, you're not paying any different amount of money for the benefit of this program. My concern is that if NV Energy wants to do something to help people who cannot pay security deposits, I believe that there are options under the current residential service parameters. You can do post-payment plans, you can do deposit assistance, you can spread out deposits over specific months. Those are my concerns right there. My last concern is that the utility payments being paid at payday loan centers may be a violation of NRS 604A.655, and that's something that I don't know if anyone's looked into yet. Thank you for your time and have a nice evening.
Ms. Hudson, I do have a question for you with regards to the Flex Pay plan. If it's an opt-in program and all the problems that you've highlighted are made known to people who, before they opt in, why do you think it's still a bad proposal?
In the context of somebody who's low income and doesn't have the money to put down a deposit, their choice is no electricity or getting into this program.
All right, thank you. Elizabeth Sanchez. Somebody could ask if Elizabeth Sanchez is in the hallway.
Is that your wife, Tony?
Mr. Vietti? No. No.
Not present.
All right. Asa Morrison.
Good evening. My name is Asa, A-S-A, last name is Morrison, M-O-R-R-I-S-O-N. And the first question I have is on your, before public utility commissions handout that you gave today. Why must the public be kept in the dark for 5 years so the information is supplied for the request for these increases? That's my first question. 5 years is way too long. You should be able to make that information available within at least 6 months to a year. first question I have is, should not the people own their own electric utility company, the same as the water and other utilities in the state of Nevada? And the next question is, this is addressed to the people. Should we not have a public utility commission with representatives for present class rates, plus possible new class rates for retirees, handicapped, the poor, and others as needed and voted on by the public in place of appointments by the governor? This should belong to the people. The requested rate, 1.85% increase, is more than my Social Security increase, which was 1.65%. And my fixed income for my retirement from the company I get is 0% a year. So for people who are on fixed incomes, this is a real problem. The next question I have is, how much money, if any, has been given by the power company to political candidates and also to lobbyists? I know there's lots of money that goes out to that. Has anyone ever considered using the Nevada test site for multiple nuclear power plants? The test site is radiated for thousands of years into the future. Thus, it's a perfect place to have the largest nuclear power generation system in the world that could provide electricity throughout the West, Midwest, and maybe more areas. It's a perfect place to create jobs for years to come. The next question I have is, who pays for the increased capacity that is required whenever new subdivisions, hotels, and businesses are hooked into the system? I know they pay for the extension from existing facilities to the new subdivision or hotel or whatever. But the increased capacity, when you have to buy power from someone else, the size of the cables are only so many electrons that can get on that cable, so you have increased capacity cost, including the wires, the transformers, and the other hardware that goes with the system. I would also like to know what is the ENRS number that identifies and explains the PUC.
The NRS Chapter 703 and 704. There's also statutory authority under NRS 701B and 455.
701D and what?
701B is in boy.
701B, okay.
And 455. Also, the last one, primary one, is 704B is in boy.
704B. Thank you very much.
Actually, Mr. Sanchez, if you could explain the request for confidentiality treatment for 5 years, the reasons for that, as well as the issue that Mr. Morrison brought up with regards to expenditures for political candidates and lobbyists.
Thank you, Commissioner. With respect to the 5-year confidentiality, if I could confer with council momentarily, but with respect to expenditures made for political candidates and lobbyists, nothing in this rate case is seeking compensation or seeking to raise customer funds related to any expenditures to political candidates or lobbyists. Those are what are referred to as below-the-line funds, and those are paid for by the shareholders of the company, in this case, Berkshire Hathaway Energy.
All right, we'll be taking a break, 10-minute break at 7:30, so we'll get the information and you'll provide that after the break. Amelia Rodriguez. All right, if people, could somebody ask if Amelia Rodriguez?
No? No.
Deanna D'Amico?
Diana D'Amico, Giana, D'', capital AMICO. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Most of the things that I wanted to say have already been said. I just want to say that I live in a 2-household two-people household. Our most recent power bill was almost $450. We use ceiling fans. We are all energy efficient appliances. My mother is on a fixed income. It's almost about half of her income, which is insane, okay? No matter what we do, we can't get power bills down. You know, I grew up on the fringes of the Vietnam War and a time when people banded together to make their voices heard. And I'm thinking that, you know, I'm all for going the regular channels, but I'm starting to think that maybe we need to do something else to be heard. Perhaps, you know, using the social media to call out to people to do a citywide shutdown of using Nevada Power for maybe a week, and just letting them see what it does to their profits. And we're a small group of people here because most people can't come.
Exactly.
You know, they have jobs.
Exactly.
They're ill and they're dependent on that power. But, you know, those of us who are here are trying to be heard. And I don't know what the answer is, but I know people have had it. And so I hope you're hearing us now, that we don't have to find another way to band together to be heard.
Jean Griffin.
I'm not going to speak tonight.
Jonathan Friedrich.
Good evening, my name is Jonathan Friedrich, Jonathan, Friedrich, Friedrich. I reside in Las Vegas, and I am here to speak as a ratepayer and not as a state-appointed commissioner. The PUC was created to protect the public, and all commissioners had to take an oath to do just that, protect the public. NV Energy is a monopoly that you have allowed to steamroll over their customers. One of my issues in my campaign for Assembly, in Assembly District 10, was a warning that NV Energy was planning to increase their rates in their never-ending quest to increase profits, pay for their executive salaries, the decommissioning of existing power generating plants, building of new plants, and to pay for devices such as smart meters. NV Energy told us when we spoke out against the toxic smart meters being shoved down our throats that these new devices would save us money. Now, NV Energy comes to the PUC asking for another rate increase to recover costs to pay for the installation and maintenance costs of these smart meters. Where are the hyper-related promised savings to lower our rates? The $5.25 increase is supposed to be offset by lower per kilowatt charges. In order for that to be realized, those with lower power bills will never see the savings, just more lies from NV Energy. This proposed rate increase is just a precursor to a massive rate increase waiting for us in 2017 for the decommissioning of the Reed-Gardner plant. NV Energy's lobbyists hoodwinked legislators in 2013 with their Senate Bill 123. This bill, among other items, is allowing for an accelerated time schedule for depreciation costs. NV Energy has taken that to mean a $20 million for this proposed rate increase. By lowering the authorized return on equity to a more reasonable level, the $20 million rate increase being requested in this case could be quickly eliminated. This means that the coal plant balances should not be quickly recovered over the next 3 years. By accelerating recovery of this investment, it could raise the requested increase from $20 million to as much as $80 million. However, in Senate Bill 123, in Section 16, and I'll repeat this, in Section 16, it allows for the creation of a plan to do 4 things. The most important items being of number 1 and 4. Items 2 and 3 deal with economic benefits to the state and the creation of jobs. Item 1 requires this commission to consider the cost to the customer to implement this plan. And item 4 is whether the plan represents the best value to the customer. Section 16 of this bill requires this commission to consider all of the above. Therefore, this commission has the authority to modify NV Energy's rate requests. Do your job and protect the people of the state and not NV Energy and Warren Buffett's bottom lines. And finally, on page 1 of your docket number 14-05004 and docket 14-05005, on paragraph 3, on the very bottom line, it says, and SPPC requests that certain information they have filed under seal be deemed confidential. My question is, why? Why is it under seal? Can anybody answer that?
Mr. Friedrich, in response to that same question by Mr. Morrison, I had asked Mr. Sanchez to provide that information. He had indicated that he will talk to council and provide that following the break at 7:30.
Thank you.
Roz Jansen. John Bayetti.
Here comes trouble. As fast as I can. Hi, kids. Okay. Sorry about that. Yes, John Bayetti, or everybody calls me Big John, it's B-I-G-J-O-H-N. And I want to start with the state.
Mr. Bayetti, if you could spell your full name.
J-O-H-N, B-A-I-E-T-T-I.
Thank you.
The gentleman from the state, now you're with Brian Sandoval's office, right? I'm sorry.
It's Catherine Cortez Masto now. It's by,
Oh, okay, the district attorney. Or the attorney general. Help me out, sir. Okay.
have you been here for the full proceedings? I
I have, sir.
Okay.
And I've been listening too. Anyway, what I wanted to say to you is your comment when you were talking to Nevada NV Energy, and you said that here's what we want from you, or here's the rates, and this is the kind of thing we're looking at. I don't think that's a good way to put it. I think you have to tell them what we want. You represent the state, you represent the public. You have to tell Mr. Sanchez that we want no rate increase of any kind. Coming in the back door doing this, we want you to be direct, we want you to be firm, and we want you to say there is no range here. We're not going to accept it. Isn't that a good request to make of you?
Thank you, Mr. Bayetti. We highlighted some very important points, and one, I will agree with you that basically, if we're able to get what we want in this case, there is no cause for a rate increase with the depreciation.
That's what we want to hear from you.
Mr. Bayetti, if I could direct your comments to the application, and if you want to have a discussion with Mr. Stuck during a break or afterwards,
Thank you.
feel free to do that.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I want to say one thing about Tony Sanchez to everybody here. I've known him for years. He's a really, really great guy. He listens. No, he is. I vehemently disagree with him, as does everybody in this room. But he's had the guts to be here, and he sits there and listens to us. And my question, can I ask him a question, or should I wait?
We're here to, if you've got a question with regards to the application, you can ask that question. If it's with regards to something else,
Well,
till the break.
in regards to raising money, in regards to getting more money, and looking at the consumers to get that money, my question to Mr. Sanchez is, why don't you sell the stock?
Mr. Bayetti, that's not part of the application. bring it back to what is in the application if you could.
Okay, then for you directly, Commissioner, here's the concerns we've had every single time with this, and it's repetitive throughout the years. You've been a commissioner for what, a couple years, is it, or 3 years?
3 years.
Okay. Do you, I'm not putting you on the spot in any shape or form, okay? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I'm sure you're going to.
Do you know what commodity derivative contracts are?
Again, if you could direct your questions and comments to what is in the application.
Okay. See, here's our concern with sort of respect to that. You have a set of accounting statements here. You have information that's been given you by Nevada Power. Those statements being audited is useless. It's absolutely useless. Nobody's accusing Nevada Power of cheating. What we're accusing them of is bending the rules, like all companies do, to show the lowest profit possible, to come to you and say, look how bad we're doing, we need more money. And in the scheme of things, as I'm sure you know, Mr. Noble, is that in accounting, the range of differences of numbers is huge. And why can't one time, in all the years I've been doing this, why can't one time you look at Nevada Power and say, take this increase back to the table and come back with a new set of accounting statements here, sir. Have a new set of accounting. And what I did one year, David, I actually called the accounting department at UNLV. I explained the problem to the head of the accounting department, and I asked them, would the students volunteer to do a set of books on NV Energy that would show the absolute most optimal situation and the absolute most negative situation, because that's what Mr. Sanchez should be bringing here, not his statement. We don't want to see his stuff. We don't want to see his books that haven't been done by somebody else with another opinion. And it's all perfectly legal, and it's all in the accounting standards. But when you look at something like this, like the state is doing, they're looking at their statement saying, well, obviously we make a decision like this because that's the information we have. Kind sir, it's, you know, crap in, crap out type of thing. What is wrong with that idea? Is there something wrong with that idea?
Mr. Paetti, your time is up.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Rob Raymond.
Good evening, my name is Rob Raymond, R-O-B-R-A-Y-M-O-N-D. I've been a resident of Nevada since 1992. I've been in my current house for the past 18 years. I've constantly seen my energy rates increase time and time again. I've constantly seen Nevada Power come before the PUC and request a rate increase with promises, oh, if you give it to us this year, we promise we won't go for another year or whatever, and 6 months later, they're before you again with another rate increase. Granted, it wasn't for the same thing they were before you that time, they figured out another way. That's right. I'm getting sick and tired of it. Example, I'm on a fixed income, I have Social Security and my life savings. There's 2 people in the household. Nothing has changed within the house. Last year, I replaced a 30-year-old air conditioner in May. My utility bill for July and August went from $300 one month to $545 one month to $595 the next month. When I called NV Energy to complain and say, what the hell's going on, and everything else, what they said, what they offer me. Oh, you can go on the monthly average. Oh, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to go on a monthly average with those things. I requested that somebody from NV Energy come out and look at my house, tell me what I can do, what's wrong with my house. Do you know it took 8 weeks and 4 phone calls by me to try to get somebody out because NV Energy said that they didn't have enough technicians or whatever to service the area. When the guy came out, he looked around, spent about an hour, and he says, oh, you might consider the pool pump at changing it out to $800. He said, I run the pool pump in the summer for 4 hours, not the 6 to 8 that it's supposed to be. couldn't find anything. He says, well, you know, you've got a refrigerator in the garage and that kind of stuff. So the refrigerator's been there for 18 years. Could not justify why, when I put in an energy efficient air conditioner, that the bill would run that much. To fight that this year, I now close all the draperies on the east side of the house where I get morning sun. I've set my thermostat at 83 to 85 degrees and using oscillating fans. And sit around the house in a t-shirt or a tank top and shorts to try to keep my energy rate down. My bills currently went from, in May to June, was $102. The next month it was $192, no, I'm sorry, it was $212. When I called NV Energy to complain and say, what the hell's going on, you know what the customer service rep said? Oh, go online and look at your energy use. I go, well, that's a great help. I said, do you know that I wasn't at home for 6 days in that billing period and the air conditioner was shut off? It wasn't even turned down, we'd shut it off. Oh yeah, I do see that there's a slight decrease. You know, this is getting ridiculous. You know, there's, as somebody else has mentioned, there is the cost of doing business. You know, you want to increase and you want to bring power lines and all this stuff. Take your profits. How much did you make last year? You know, what comes out of NV Energy's mouth is, well, we have a responsibility to our shareholders. Well, some companies make great profits for their shareholders. Other companies don't, but they don't keep gouging. You know, my bill, I felt really great this month. It only went up to $292. You know, for 2 people and 1 dog living in the house, you know, doing the same thing we've always done. You know, this constant stuff, you keep talking about, you know, there's now going to be this $8 a month increase plus the $505. You know, you're looking at $8 a month basic, which is $196. Might as well round it up to $100 a month or a year increase. My income doesn't increase by that. And what you're going to, you know, and I don't know why NV Energy always can't take their R&D and put that back and absorb that. That's what most companies do. You know, if I've got a company and I make a huge profit or I make any kind of profit and I want my company to grow, I have to take those profits and put it back into my company. I don't go to my customers and say, oh, John, I want to put in a new grill in my restaurant. Can you pay me first? You know, that's what you guys are asking. You always want it up front, but you never come back and say, well, here it is, other than it sort of gets slid in under some guys, well, you know, you're getting a kilowatt hour break or whatever. They put a smart meter in. Oh, and that was the other thing. When the guy came out, he hadn't come out and take out the meter. I said, are you going to change out the meter? I said, are you going to notify me when they do that? No. I said, well, how am I supposed to know? Oh, in a couple of weeks, why don't you call and you can go in, you call NV Energy and tell them that you want to come in and watch them test the meter. That's your responsibility. I'm the customer. If you take out my meter, then it's your responsibility to let me know when you're going to take it out. Simple as putting a note on my door. And it's also your responsibility to say, okay, here's the address. You need to call and set up a time for us so you can come in to watch it and do it.
Mr.
None of
Raymond,
that happened.
if you could wrap up your comments.
Okay. I request the PUC, you're supposed to be protecting the public, and it hasn't seemed that way. You know, you let them, you give them part, they come back, and they lie, and they come back, and they tell you that oh, it's another rate increase, and you go along, and you give them part, or you give them all. It's time to tell them no.
Susan Witt.
The spelling of my name is S-U-S-A-N-W-Y-N-N-E. I'm here on behalf of also my father, who's a 90-year-old World War II handicapped veteran. I've resided in Las Vegas, Nevada for over 27 years. My father and I purchased the property in 2010. We had Nevada Energy come out to that property when we purchased it and do an electromagnetic field reading, which was at 1.2, which is very reasonable, but a little bit higher. Most residential homes are 0.06. Our home now at Low Peak is 15.9. We have been displaced for over a year. We have not been able to live in our home. This World War II handicapped veteran and I and our pets, I do not have a home due to the neglect. I have filed a formal complaint with the PUC. Brian Sandoval wrote me a letter saying he would have you guys reconsider it. I have contacted NV Energy. I've met with your legal counsel. Also, I have contacted the Titus in Hartford, Ward 4, Anthony. I have done a formal complaint with consumer rights. I have about 160 numbers of complaints I have filed. Nothing has been done. So a 90-year-old World War II veteran and myself have been out on the street. When we purchased a home in 2010 with cash from both of our hard-earned money, and we cannot live in our home. And pass the buck is all that has happened. Well, you know what? This 90-year-old World War II veteran served your country, and nobody has the decency to help us out. Our home is sitting there. We can't live in it. 15.9 EMF field.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
If I could ask you how your situation today is related to the rate case?
The rate increase, I don't think it should, how can there be a rate increase? You know, I'm talking about our public safety, okay? I am part of this public, being a resident for 27 years. We're sitting here talking about people worrying about a few cents on their bill. Well, you've taken that, and Energy has taken our home, and the Public Utilities Commission approved it. So I am not a happy camper. He is not a happy camper. This is his last few months and years of his life, and we can't be in our home. Thank you, NV Energy, and thank you, PUC, for having no backbone. We all had a similar operation, testicles and spleen removed. Sorry.
Baruda Nelson?
My name is spelled B-I-R-U-T-A, last name M-E-L-S-O-N. The last time I appeared before you was last year in September, when we had the hearings on the smart meters. I got a smart meter. I pay $8.82 extra every month for it. My bill, I think, is down from everybody else because I unplug everything I don't really need to run. I run my temperature at my home 85. I turn out anything that doesn't really work, and my bill runs around 130. But I'm not really happy for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't know if any of you are aware, but there has been maintenance on the lines that run to your house since last year by an outside company that is contacted by NV Energy. And the reason I know it is I have a box in front of my yard, and I've asked them what they were doing, and they said they're upgrading them. They're contracted by NV Energy, but we're paying for that. And it's been ongoing. I saw them again in my neighborhood last week. I can't understand that they don't have their own people who can do that. I saw a man out there from NV Energy, but we're paying that. And I'm sure those people who are doing the electrical work are $25 an hour. There's usually 4 people, and there's 2 crews I've seen in my neighborhood. So I'm sure some of this money that they're going to pass on to the basic service charge at $5 and some odd cents. I'm sure it's going to reflect that bill, and I would like to see that bill, what it's costing us for the services that started before it was taken over, and it's continued because Mr. Buffett, I'm sure, wants to make sure that he's getting more bang for the buck from us. And we're not getting service. They read my meter, I go out there, I know when they're about coming, I read it. So I'm charged $18, they may give me $5 more for basic service that they only come. I'll be happy to take a photo and give it to them and send it in a 49-cent envelope if you don't believe that I'm reading it right, because that's what I heard last year, which I think is laughable. Some of us have been fighting every time something comes up. The last time I was here, I asked the PCU, do the right thing and say no to any of these things that they have suggested, especially the increase in basic. My bill when I came to Las Vegas 18 years ago was less than my basic $18 for everything. I think it's outrageous. People should stand up. Even though I'm lower, but I cut everything to the core, I think we should start protesting. I think we should get together. Every time I come and I say, please do the right thing, and you still haven't done the right thing. To increase my basic charge to $23 for what? Reading my meter once a month? How ludicrous. How long is he out there? He's out there, boom, boom, he's back within a minute. And he's charging me? I don't know if the people who have these high bills are on a smart meter. I took it out. I think my bill is lower because I've unplugged everything, and I'm conserving my energy, and then you charge me all these energy conservation. I'm being conservative, all of us are. We're conserving the best we can. I wash in the evening, and my dishwasher, as all of us do. I cut back on things, I unplug stuff. But the charge that is absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely. And if you people don't do anything, I'll be back again. I was here last year, some of us were here, a whole bunch of us. We're going to stand up. It's about time somebody decided and said, no, cut back. I don't care if it's a dime for each of us each month, but to increase $5 and then these other things is absolutely outrageous. One more thing. I was told if I was late on a bill because I didn't have a smart meter, he would disconnect my service if I wasn't timely. So last year I thought, okay, I'm gonna be gone to Europe for 3 months, I paid up front. Do you think that they were smart enough to give me a discount or something because I paid 3 months in advance? Heck, no, I'm sure they ran all the way to the bank to get that. So I don't want a prepaid. I'll prepay them if they don't cut off my electricity, but I'm not going to go on a plan that I have to prepay them every year. Say no on all the elements, because I think it's absolutely, it's time that we stood up and said no. And I'll be in front of you every time you have something, because I'm tired of this, as the rest of these people in the room are. Thank you.
Cynthia Moss?
She left.
Richly Abbott?
You're not talking to this one?
Actually, that one there.
My name is Richly Abbott, R-I-C-H-L-A-Y, Abbott, A-B-B-O-T-T. I want to thank you for this notice here of how to find this obscure location. Maybe when you take and put these notices up, if you put a map on it, how to get here, it'd make it a lot more easier. Wait a minute, that'd be kind of bad, because there'd be too many people here when you have to get a bigger audience place. Well, on this here, in 99, my wife and I bought a house. It hasn't been completed. So in that, I requested that they put R60 in the ceiling and ceiling fans, and I put in solar springs. And our electric bill was, we thought, kind of high, $160 a month during the summer. of sorry, because we noticed that everybody else was paying $300 to $500 a month. And electric company says, hey, cut down on your electrical. We can cut down on it. But all of a sudden, hey, we're not getting enough revenue. We're gonna have a higher pay rate. And now they're doing it again. Also, you're talking about solar electrical generation. I've gone through a couple plants, going by them. They got the solar up there. You can see where the energy pod is supposed to be. That's there. But the beam is over here. They got them up, but they're not using it. It's just it's a write-off. Also, your wind generators. You can see them out there. Oh, wait a minute, why are they all down? Oh, they gotta be repaired, or something like that. All I've got to say is, why do we have to pay to have our energy here when you got your larger consumers, like your casinos? You go into them right now, you can feel it real cold, but they are set for a lot of people to be in there so that it would keep the room pretty even. But no, there's not that many people there. They got all those machines screwed down so tight that they can't afford to play them. And they just got those machines sitting there, and they're using up a lot of energy when they don't have to. Well, that's about all I can say about this. It's, I think if you take and get rid of those smart meters and put on these here where you have a location where you can see where the place is, that's about the only thing we can do. But then you'd have too many people here to complain about the raising of their fees. That's about it.
All right, thank you. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. We will be back at 7:45.